emphasis, dear Father, on how important faith is in our life, and how important faith is when we live it. It is always to glorify you as God alone, and as witnesses on the earth. We thank you, dear Father, for this opportunity to always glorify you as God alone. Please help us as people in the end to prepare for your second coming by being settled and seen in the faith that we will not do you. Thanking you for all your mercies and your loving kindness that you have given unto us. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. So, last week, my intention was to really establish the starting of this 457. However, the 457, the starting date for this 457, we will go it over again when we reach Daniel chapter 9. This starting of the 457 is in Daniel chapter 9. So, as a recap, we are looking at Daniel chapter 8, and we were looking at Daniel chapter 8, verse 14, and he said unto me, until 2,300 days, it is then the sanctuary will be cleansed. As we saw last week, that the sanctuary is being cleansed in the time called the time of the end. And this time of the end, according to Daniel chapter 8, is the last end, where the wrath of God will pour. So we don't have no end other than the last end. This is the time where this time of the end here is where we will see Christ coming in power and great glory. All kind of manifestations will be taking place. All kind of things will be taking place. In fact, this week, there's a fire that is happening right now in California. And that fire has been burning for days. It has been burning for days. A lot of houses have been burned down to the ground. A lot of places have been burned down to the ground, which will never come back. There's a lot of landscape that we are seeing that is being damaged that will never come back again. In those countries that had hurricane that had happened in the West Indies, they will take a lot of time and a lot of money to get back to the time where they were. So a lot of things are happening in the time of the end, the last end. Now the time of the end, as we said, started from 1798. We are after 1844, so we are in the end. This is it, right? So when Bernardina showed that you need to understand the truth, you need to understand the scriptures, it is very important, right? So we are going to establish the 457, right? We are going to establish the 457. Let's look at Daniel. And we are going to look at Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. Daniel chapter 9 and verse 25. Daniel chapter 9 and verse, let's look at verse 24. Let's look at verse 24. Now the reason why the Jews as a nation went into Babylonian captivity is because in Deuteronomy chapter 28, as I said, they did not keep the commandments of God. The Bible says that God told them that they would have gotten blessing if they kept the commandment and curse if they disobeyed. So we saw they disobeyed and they went into captivity. Let's look at Daniel chapter 9 and verse 24. It says this: 70 weeks are cut off upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression or finish rebellion. Always when you transgress against God and you do not keep the commandments of God, that is rebellion. Right? So God told them in this whole timeline here, 70 weeks, right? Or 490 years. Not weeks, years. Right? 70 weeks or 490 years was cut off from this timeline here for them to finish rebellion against God. Right? They were to finish their rebellion. Right? Let's continue. It says to finish transgression or rebellion and to make an end of sin. Right? So when they finish the rebellion, they're making an end of sin. And you know, sin comes from all the idol values in your mind. So they were supposed to get their mind right, get their heart right. Justification by faith gives you a right heart, right? Justification by faith gives you a righteous heart, right? Because when the faith comes to you in the faith of Jesus Christ, it's righteousness. So when God gives the faith unto you, He gives you righteousness. So they were supposed to end their sin by being obedient to the commandments of God, get righteousness, and end their rebellion. But what did they do? It says this, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. This is for the 2300 days, right? Or years, right? Right. Now in this time prophecy, at a point in time, the most holy came to the earth. Who was the most holy? Jesus Christ. So at a point in time, on the face of the earth, Christ came. And we are told that when Christ came, His own people delivered Him to the Romans to be killed. They rejected Christ. When Pilate came, and Pilate came into the hall, and Pilate said, what do you want me to do with this man that is called Jesus Christ? What they said in one accord, crucify Him, crucify Him, crucify Him. So apart from this 490 years that they had to end rebellion, to end transgression, to end their sin, even up to this time of Christ, they still had opportunity to make an end of rebellion, an end of sin. And you know what? Even in the time of Christ, when they said to crucify Christ and they rejected Christ, there was a point in time in Acts where Stephen came. You know the issue with Stephen, when Stephen came, Stephen showed them how they rejected Christ. And when Stephen showed them how they rejected Christ, they put their hands on their ears and they started to bawl and bawl and bawl so that they would not hear what Stephen was telling them in regards to their history of rejection of Christ. And what they did is that they took stone and they stoned Stephen to death. They actually stoned Stephen to death. And it is from that stoning of Stephen here that as a nation they were rejected of Christ. Look at the timeline. Look at how long they had to end their rebellion. Look at how long they had to end their sin, and they did not do it. So what happened is that after this time was allotted to them, and they transgressed the law of God over and over. They went to the Canaanites' land. They used to sacrifice their children in the fire. They used to cut themselves like the Canaanites did. They used to worship prostitutes as the goddesses. They used to worship all kind of animals, all kind of four-footed beasts. They apostatized from Yahweh. And what God intended for them was to do is that God wanted them was to go among the heathen, preach among the heathen, and convert the heathen to Yahweh's religion. But they didn't do that. They didn't convert the heathen to the religion of Yahweh. They went into the land, and instead of them converting the heathens, they actually went and convert to the heathens' religion. And God said, you know what? He said, I will put you all into captivity. And this is what we will read in Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. Daniel chapter 9 and verse 25. Now Daniel chapter 9 and verse 25, we are dealing with this restoration here, right? It says this: know you therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, right, shall be 70 weeks, 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the walls even in troublous times. So from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem. Now when Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, went and took the Jews captive, the temple was burnt. The city was burnt. It was totally destroyed. What God said is that after you're going to captivity, you will spend 70 years in Babylonian captivity. In Babylonian captivity, I will send you back to build back Jerusalem again and to restore the city again. So let's look at the 70 years that is spent into captivity. Jeremiah. Let's look at Jeremiah. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 25. Jeremiah chapter 25. We will read verse 9 and verse 10. Jeremiah chapter 25. Let's read 8, 9, and 10. 8, 9, and 10. Jeremiah chapter 25. It says this: therefore, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, because you have not heard my words. That is what he was trying to tell them in Deuteronomy, that they need to be obedient to the commandments of God, because all the commandments are righteousness. If you were obedient to the word of God, well then you would not have gone into captivity. Let's read it. Verse 9. Behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, saith Yahweh, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against this land, and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and an hissing, and perpetual desolation. So here God says that he will take Nebuchadnezzar, and he will use Nebuchadnezzar. The servant there doesn't mean that Nebuchadnezzar is obedient to Christ. It just means that God is using Nebuchadnezzar to take them into captivity, to carry them into captivity, right? So what the Lord did is that he allowed Nebuchadnezzar to go and take them into captivity because they didn't hear his word, because it was not obedient to the commandments of God. And sometimes it is so with you and I. Sometimes God is speaking to us over and over and over. Sometimes we slide the conviction. Sometimes we belittle what God is telling us. And we continue doing it over and over and over. And it reaches a time where God has to say, you know what? I would have to do something drastic to save this individual. And this is what God did. God caused them to go into Babylonian captivity. Imagine the people of God. Imagine the people who were called the people of God. The people who have the oracles of God. The people who God worked for. The people who God had the Red Sea for. The people who God came down and fire by day, right? And give all those commandments to, rock the mountains with his voice, do all kind of miracle. Imagine those kind of people now is going into captivity. Imagine those kind of people now are going into captivity under Babylonian rule. Think about it. What would you think of a person that is serving Yahweh 10, 15 years and all of a sudden you see them turn into a vagrant? In your mind it is just shock to you, because Yahweh promises that he will preserve his own. He said he considered the lily of the field, how they grow. He said they don't spin, and yet Yahweh provides for them. He said, I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. How could the righteous now be going into captivity? Something has to be very wrong. So what God did is that God allowed them to go into captivity. Let's read verse 11, because 11 will show us that it was 70 years that they were going into captivity. Verse 11, Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 11, it says, and this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. So Daniel, as a young man, 18, 19 years, went into Babylonian captivity. He was one of the sets that were in the captivity. There were one captivity, there were another one. Ezekiel was in one. And mind you, just before that captivity, there were always prophets talking to them. Prophets after prophets, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel, always talking to them. Even in this time, they had Stephen, always speaking to them. At one point in time, they get vexed with one of the prophets, get so mad with one of the prophets. They cut a tree, take out the inside of the tree, take the body of that prophet, put the prophet inside of that tree and saw that prophet. Imagine somebody telling you to serve God, be obedient to the commandments of God, follow God, and you take that individual and you put that individual in a tree and saw that tree. What kind of mindset is that? What kind of mindset is that? Imagine somebody telling you about Christ, and that person telling you to repent and showing you how much God loves you, and you take that person and actually slit that person's throat. This is the kind of persons that we're dealing with when you're talking about the Jews as a nation. So, Daniel went into captivity, and Daniel was there. And even though Daniel was in that circumstance, Daniel was still obedient to Yahweh. And it shows us that whatever circumstance that we might face, whatever circumstance Yahweh might allow us to go into, we still need to be obedient to the commandments of God. So Daniel was there. He came in contact with Nebuchadnezzar. He came in contact with the king, and he was telling the king over and over about the truth and showing the king about the truth. At one point in time, the king, he got conviction, you know, and he said, well, you know, Daniel, what you're saying is true, it's true. You know, I really need to get rid of this, I really need to do this, I really need to do that, but he will only acknowledge, and he will go as far. You don't have some people that see what you say, but they're not going the distance of really denying themselves and doing what you say. And Nebuchadnezzar will hear, and then he will get conviction, but he wouldn't do. He wouldn't get rid of the idol value. He identified what his idol value was, you know. He said pride. He said, who that lifted up his heart, he's able to abase. And God actually showed Nebuchadnezzar his idol value. And over a period of time, you know, Daniel will talk to him, and Daniel will show him what he needs to do. And he did nothing, and the fault that he had gets so ingrained that he forgets who was the person that actually gave him the kingdom. Who was the person that actually allowed him to be king of Babylon. And you know what the prophecy said? While he was walking, he started to boast, you know. Isn't this Babylon that I have built by my might, by my power? He started to exalt himself because, I mean, he wasn't king of Babylon. He was like a world leader, you know, like how everybody knew Donald Trump. That's how Nebuchadnezzar was. And the Bible said, while that word was in his mouth, while he was speaking that word, God put retribution on him. And that king became like a vagrant. That king here grew long. That king used to eat animal food. A king, when you bring a person before a king could tell you he could will that person stay alive but after some time. That person don't have to be innocent. All the king has to do is just don't like that person, and that person could just die.
So those who taking on the chart, right, the 490 years, the finishing at the stone and Stephen,
yes,
and not before it.
Yes. Yes, I made a mistake by putting this line. That's when they rejected Christ as a nation. Right? Right. So they rejected the Messiah himself, but they still got a last effort. God used Stephen to talk to them, and they stoned Stephen to death. And after that, God said, as a nation, I can't call you my people.
As Nebuchadnezzar, who was claiming to be like a God, right, exalting himself, right? In the Bible show, in the text of Romans, where it says, even after they not like anything God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind. You think you can class Nebuchadnezzar as a reprobate at that point in time, eh?
No. No, he was not reprobate. He was not person. You know, you have some people, there are two classes of people when they start to go back into wrong. There's something called backsliding, and there's something called apostasy. Now, when you're going back into backsliding, it means that you're going back into your own ways. But you're not bringing up a vindication before God. You know, it's just that you like your ways and you go back to your ways. You go back to their vomit, as the Bible says, right? But there are people, right, that do something called apostasy. Now, when you apostatize, you bring up argument against the doctrine of Christ. And when you bring up argument against the doctrine of Christ, who can speak to you? So apostasy is different to backsliding. A person in apostasy, you can't reach him with the truth because he always have an argument against the truth. You can't reach him like that. But a person who is in backsliding, at least you can tell them the truth and they will see their ways and they will change their ways. So Nebuchadnezzar, even though he was like that, the fault itself that he had, it just gets more stronger in him. And he overlooked all the truths that Daniel used to tell him. And he knew exactly what his problem was. He knew exactly. Let's read it. Let me just go to it and read it first, right? Let's look at Daniel. And we read Daniel chapter 4. This is when Nebuchadnezzar came back to his senses. And you know, God restored his senses back to him. This is what Nebuchadnezzar is saying. This is not Daniel's word. This is Nebuchadnezzar, right? Daniel chapter 4, right? Verse 34. And we will read verse 36, right? Let's read from verse 34, come down to 37. And we are reading Nebuchadnezzar's conclusion, right? When he came out from being the animal, human animal, and you know, he got fixed up, haircuts and everything, he came back good. He was now a converted Christian. Here Nebuchadnezzar. Now if you and I be faithful, if you and I stay faithful to the truth, we will see Nebuchadnezzar in the kingdom, right? Yahweh Gadol, right? So let's look at Daniel chapter 4, verse 34 to verse 37. It says this. Now Daniel chapter 2 shows that he had to acknowledge that someone was higher than him who ruled it in the kingdom of heaven, right? And that is the one that gave him his kingdom. In verse 34 it says, at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes unto heaven, and my understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and praise and honor him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he do it according to his will. This is Nebuchadnezzar speaking here, you know. Isn't that something real nice for Nebuchadnezzar to be saying that? Nebuchadnezzar is a converted Christian. He said, and he do it according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand or say unto him, what doest thou? And at the same time, my reason returned unto me. And for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and brightness returned unto me. And my counselors and my lords sought unto me. And I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. So people come in now for counsels to Nebuchadnezzar. Now he would not be, you know, intolerant and unjust. Now he's a converted man, and he will speak according to the will of God and judge matter, and his judgment will be just according to the truth that is in his mind, right? This text now, Nebuchadnezzar is identifying what was really wrong with him. What was the idol value that caused him to do the works that he does. Now every single one, every single individual in this world, when you see them do some kind of works in this world, it is because they have something my value in my mind. Show me what I like most above you. And help me that I will get rid of it, that I will serve you in spirit and in truth. So here Nebuchadnezzar. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his judgments and all his ways are judgment. So he recognized that, what God did is ready to save him. And the judgment that God made in regards to him is ready to save him at the end of the day, right? And then he said this. Here Nebuchadnezzar is identifying his idol value. And those that walk in pride, he is able to abase. So Nebuchadnezzar knew what he had to do. He knew what he had to deal with. God showed him, well, look, you see that exalting of yourself above me? This is what you need to do. You need to get converted. But he will hear Daniel, and whatever Daniel said, he will get conviction for the moment, and after that, he will just go back to his old ways. After a while, God say, you know what? I'll put some retribution on you. Send you as an animal. It will go 7 years, right? As an animal. No long claws, no long hair. Eat animal food until your reasoning come back to you. And you know what is your reasoning? That you will know that I rule it in the kingdom of men. I set it up and I put it down. And your problem is that you need to humble and you need to abase yourself before me. And this is what Daniel identified. And Nebuchadnezzar identified his problem. So, Nebuchadnezzar is now converted by God's grace. Amen?
Amen. That was going to show is what it will take for world leaders who have prayer and exaltation to be saved. And many of them may not have that opportunity, but more do than Nebuchadnezzar.
Amen. Amen. Sometimes, it's very hard. When you're talking to a person and they're in a particular position, and they have to think about leaving their position, leaving their money, leaving their different things. All of that people have to think about when they come into Christ. Like when Christ show you the truth, it's all kind of thing. Your association with your friends, you have to think about denying that. Your association with your husband, if your husband will persecute you, if your wife will persecute you, all of that you have to take into consideration. And when you take that into consideration and you say, I want to give up all for Christ, and I want to follow Christ, whether my husband persecute me, whether my wife persecute me, whether my family persecute me, I'm going to follow the Lord. When you deny all of that, then Yahweh blesses me. Right?
Remember the young rich ruler? You see? When Christ told him to give up all,
Go back.
before he give up everything and follow Christ, because he was near the kingdom, he started to think. He had great
Probably
riches.
he liked to spend a lot. After he went into that, then he recognized, I need to go back to my father's house. It's always a value in your mind that causes us to do these things. Identify what is your value. And when you think about that, and you reason out that according to the truth, you deny the value in your mind. And the value in your mind, the Bible call it nothing in Psalms. The Bible says there's devils that is behind those idols. Right? So the idol values, devils are behind that, demons are behind that, to cause you to do those things, to fight against Yahweh himself. So what really and truly gets rid of the idol value? It is conversion. It is justification by faith. It is righteousness in the heart that makes you stop warring and fighting against God with the idol values that you have in your mind. Right?
Lost their reason. Is it because of chemical imbalance, because usually they say that, or because of retribution, you know?
When somebody loses a consciousness in the mind, is it because of chemical imbalance or some reason in the mind? Well,
That is what it is.
in the Bible, it says that God actually put him that way, set him that way. How it happened? You probably could ask Brahma, you know, how the process happened.
Nothing medical medicine, just speaking in general.
How a person gets mental illness, or how a person that has mental illness is, you know, they have a problem, and what they do is that they focus on the problem over and over and over and over and over and over. When they focus on the problem over and over and over, what they do is that they lose reality, they lose a sense of reality. That is why sometimes you will see a mad person, they're talking to themselves and not recognizing that people are around watching them. Or they don't even bathe and clean themselves, and they don't recognize that people is there and people are seeing them. So what they do is that they focus on the truth, and if you're a person that know God, you have to deny the truth. That's why the Bible always says, when the Bible counsels us, when we are going or when we are facing a trial or a temptation or some situation in our life, God always wants us that we are to take the faith of Jesus Christ and look at it in the light of the truth. The day we lose the faith and we start to focus on the situation, it overtakes you. And what happens is that it consumes you so much that you lose the reality of the truth. And you lose who is your help. And by doing it over and over, sometimes you get depressed for days, sometimes you get depressed for months. Why? Because you forget Christ, which is the truth, and you're thinking about it for yourself and you're dealing with it for yourself. And you will never get rid of it by yourself unless you go back to getting the truth, to deal with it again. And that is how it is with people that has mental, what do you call it, mental sickness, right? They think about the problem over and over and over. Now, with us, we deal with the problem by faith. So when God allows something to happen to us, we reason it out and we keep the truth in our mind, and we are comforted in the truth. With a person in the world, because they don't have the truth, they focus on the situation over and over and over. And then they start to, sometimes they lose a sense of reality and they start to do all kinds of things that they're not supposed to do. Here we are again. And it's starting on the 7th. At the starting of the 2300 days. Because of the time, right? I'm not getting to finish. I promise next week by God's grace that I will finish off the starting of the 457, right? And then we will continue. From there we will go back to Daniel chapter 8, because the chapter that we are in Daniel is Daniel chapter 8, right? So next week we will just look at the starting of this and then we go back to Daniel chapter 8, right? So what we will do is that we will bow and have a word of prayer. Dear Lord in heaven, as we come before you this afternoon, we thank you, dear Father, for showing us again that we should never, ever, ever find ourselves in war, in hatred, in enmity against you, Lord. We thank you, dear Father, that you have shown us that your rule in our hearts, in our mind, in our thought is very important for our preservation. Please help us, dear Father, that we will continue in the truth, for you are the truth. And when we have the truth in us, we have life everlasting. Please help us, dear Father, as a people that you have called, that we will be settled in this truth, sealed in this truth, that we will not be removed. Prepare us for this time of the end. Prepare us for this latter rain. Prepare us for what is going to happen on the face of the earth, which is not in the far distance. Prepare us by sanctifying us. Prepare us by helping us, dear Father, that we will use the truth in everything that we do and exalt you to be God alone in everything that we do. We thank you, dear Father, for the presence of holy angels that have been with us today, and also the presence of your Holy Spirit. Please continue to be with us even for the rest of the week. These things we ask in Jesus' holy name we pray.